At exactly 6 a.m. my daughter-in-law was screaming my name outside my bedroom door. She was hysterical and begging me to open the house, but I did not open it, because 3 minutes earlier I had changed every lock on the property. Then I heard a vehicle pull up. My son stepped out carrying a sledgehammer. He looked straight at the front door and shouted, "I am getting inside no matter what." I stood behind the locked door with my heart pounding. Then someone behind me quietly said, "Leave it, I will handle this." And when that door finally opened, my son stopped moving, because what he saw inside was something he never expected. My name is Margaret, and for 28 years I believed that protecting your children meant standing beside them no matter what. I was wrong. Sometimes protecting yourself means finally standing against the people you love. My son Daniel had always been my pride. After his father died, I helped Daniel through college, helped him find his first apartment, and even helped him buy his first car. When he married Claire, my daughter-in-law, I welcomed her like another daughter. For years, I believed we were a close family. Then everything changed. It started with small things. Claire began asking questions about my house, who was listed on the property papers, whether I had changed my will, whether I planned to stay in the house forever. At first I ignored it. Then Daniel started asking the same questions. One evening he told me that the house was too large for one person and suggested that I move into a smaller apartment. I laughed because I thought he was joking. He was not. A few weeks later, Daniel told me they needed financial help. I refused. That was when his attitude changed. The loving son disappeared. He started speaking to me like I was an obstacle standing between him and something he believed belonged to him. Then one night I overheard Claire talking on the phone. She was discussing my house, not my health, not my happiness. The house, she said they only needed to get me out temporarily. That sentence kept me awake all night. The next morning I contacted a lawyer and reviewed every document connected to my property. What I discovered frightened me. There had been attempts to access information about the house without my permission. I did not confront Daniel. Instead, I quietly changed the locks. I moved important documents somewhere safe, and I made one decision. Nobody was entering my home unless I invited them. Then came 6 a.m. Claire began pounding on the door. "Mom, open the door, please." When I looked through the window, she was crying, but something about her behavior felt wrong. Then Daniel arrived. He walked toward the house holding a sledgehammer. I called out from behind the locked door, "Daniel, put that down." He shouted back that he had every right to enter. I told him he did not. He screamed that the house belonged to the family. I answered that it belonged to me. Then he raised the sledgehammer. My hands were shaking. For a moment I wondered if the son I raised had really become this person. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, calm, completely unexpected. I turned around. It was Mr. Harris, the attorney I had contacted the previous day. He looked at me and said quietly, "Leave it, I will handle this." Then he walked toward the front door. Daniel shouted that nobody could stop him. Mr. Harris opened the door. Daniel stepped forward. Then he saw the papers in Mr. Harris' hands. His face changed. The documents showed that the property was entirely in my name. But that was not the biggest surprise. Mr. Harris handed Daniel another document. It showed that Daniel had been trying to obtain information about the property without my authorization. Claire stopped crying. She became completely silent. Daniel looked at his wife, then back at me. I expected him to apologize. Instead, he asked one question. "Mom, why did you do this to me?" I looked at him for a long time. Then I said, "I did not do this to you. You did this to yourself." For the first time in months, nobody shouted. Nobody threatened me. Nobody demanded anything. The house was silent. Mr. Harris explained that Daniel had no right to force his way inside and that any dispute would have to be handled through the proper legal process. Daniel lowered the sledgehammer. Claire walked away from the door, and I closed it. That morning changed everything. I stopped confusing love with surrender. I stopped believing that being a good mother meant allowing my children to disrespect me. And I learned something I wish I had understood years earlier. Family can deserve your love without being entitled to your property, your peace, or your silence. Months later, Daniel contacted me. He apologized, not because he wanted the house, not because he needed money. He apologized because he finally understood what he had almost destroyed. I told him that forgiveness was possible, but trust had to be rebuilt. I never changed the locks again, not because I was afraid, because I had finally learned that boundaries are not walls against people you love. Sometimes boundaries are what protect the love that remains. And that morning at 6 a.m. taught me the most important lesson of my life. The moment you stop allowing people to take advantage of your kindness is the moment your life begins to belong to you again. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and tell me in the comments, would you have opened that door?